In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to start Amazon FBA from zero, even if you've never sold anything online before. Give me the next 49 minutes and I'll walk you through the setup, tools, and strategies you need to launch your FBA business the right way. If you're ready to stop watching and start doing, this is where it begins. The first thing that we're going to need to do is set up our company. So in order to do that, there's a couple of ways that you can go about doing a few of these things, but we're going to need an address. Whether you use that as your home address or you get a registered business address, that's completely up to you. I like the idea of not using my home address because then it's not out there. I don't get mail at my house from all of the companies that are trying to get me to sign up for different things. And also on your Amazon seller profile, your address is going to be viewable to customers, other sellers, anybody that finds your profile or buys an item from you and goes to your profile. They're going to be able to see the address that you have on your account. And I just didn't like the idea of putting my personal address out there like that. So what I've done is I open up a UPS mailbox. And you can't do this online. You're going to have to go to your nearest UPS store and open one of these up. And just fair warning that each UPS location usually has different pricing because they may be owned by different people, franchised, or they just may have different pricing depending on location and availability. So if you have a couple near you, you can always call them, ask them how much their pricing is, and it's usually going to get cheaper the longer that you have a mailbox open for. As in, if you signed up for a billing cycle of every single month, that's going to be more expensive than doing it in 3-month increments. 6-month and then 12 months are usually the cheapest option if that's offered at the one that you're going to. I personally do a 12-month cycle and it's usually around $20 to $25 a month. I can't remember the exact number, but it is in that range, and I have had them in 3 different states over the last 3 years that I've been selling because I've moved around. And it's all typically in that same price range. But all that you're going to need to do is go in there, ask them to open up a business mailbox. You're going to want the smallest size that they offer. You don't need a big mailbox because all you're going to get there is letters and maybe credit cards that come in those letters or other documents from your company, from the state government that you live in. And that is going to be it. You're not going to get any packages there unless maybe you go on vacation and you're self-prepping, but they'll hold those in the back. You don't need a mailbox big enough to hold anything at all, really. If something's too big, they'll hold it for you. So definitely open up an address, whether it's this kind of service or you can use a website like this. I have no affiliation to them. I've never used them before, but I have heard of people using this company and companies like them where they're going to give you a virtual address. So the difference between this and the UPS box is going to be pricing, first of all, usually cheaper, but you're going to get all of your mail in PDF forms or electronic scans. You're not ever going to get your physical mail from them. So you can't order packages to them. If you wanted to do that, like I was saying for the UPS box, you can't do that because they're not going to forward it to you. And if they do, you're going to have to pay extra for that. So this is only useful if you don't need any packages and you don't ever want to go there yourself. They're just going to scan it in, send it over to you. You're going to get electronic copies, never physical mail, like I said. So it just kind of depends on your own personal preferences of, do you want the physical mail? Do you want PDFs? Do you want packages to be able to go to that place also for you to pick up at a later date? Those are the kind of options that you're going to have to decide between. But once you have the address registered, it's going to be next to open up your LLC. This is a list that I've shown in a previous video of just ChatGPT. You can access this just without an account. Type in a more specific question than I did. I asked for all 50 states. So it gave me every single state in a list with their filing fee, how much it costs to open up the LLC, and then a link to the Secretary of State or corporation's website that you would need to go to open up your LLC. So you will also have to pay for this. As you can see, depending on the state that you live in, you're going to have possibly a lower or a more expensive cost. But this is important for a couple of reasons, because you need the company in order to open up business bank accounts and credit cards. If you don't have an LLC, you're going to get it as a sole proprietor, and it may report to your personal credit, it may not, but also you get to write off a lot of your expenses by having an LLC more than what you could as an individual. Say you open up the UPS mailbox here. You can track your mileage and you can write off your mileage going to this mailbox every time you go there, whether it's to pick up mail, whether it's to send off product, whether it's to pick up packages. You can write that stuff off. And I did say that you could write off going to drop off product if you have this. If you don't have this, you can also do that. But to pick up mail and packages, it's very useful. So it's definitely good in those aspects. Also, it gives you a lot of protection that you can look into that is more detailed and all that kind of stuff depending on your states. But getting a company is definitely something that I would recommend. After you have your company, you need your EIN number. You can get it for free through the IRS website. Do have business hours, so this apply for an EIN button will not work if it's outside of these hours here. The way that I got to this was just Googling get an EIN number. After you have your company formed, because you got your address, then you got your EIN number, then you're going to need a business bank account. I prefer for beginners American Express because there's no monthly maintenance fees. A lot of business checking accounts or savings accounts are going to have maintenance fees, which just means that you have to either carry a certain balance, have a certain number of transactions, or use a card that is related to that bank and put a certain amount of charges on that card in order to not pay a monthly fee. American Express has none of that. So I used this for the first 2 years that I had an Amazon selling account just because I didn't want to have to worry about, am I going to get charged $15, $30, $50 a month, depending on the bank, if I don't meet certain requirements. So this is a really good option for beginners, and it's completely free to open. Don't have to deposit any money into it, and you can keep it at a zero balance if you wanted to, or a $1 balance, and not pay any money in fees. The other option that I use now is Chase, and this is going to be a better option for somebody that's more established or has a Chase business credit card because, as we can see here, all three of these options do have monthly service fees depending on if you meet these. So $15 or zero for the complete banking. You have to have at least $2,000 in the bank account every day, or have deposits from Chase Quick Accept, which I don't personally use, Amazon doesn't use, or you can have a Chase Inc. business card, and I think the limit is $2,000. So you have to put $2,000 a month in charges onto one of these Chase Inc. business cards to not pay $15 a month, and as you go up, it does increase here. But you won't need anything outside of this one here at any point, really. So you won't have to worry about having $35,000 or $100,000 in your checking account at any point. After we have all of that stuff set up, then we're going to open up our Amazon seller account. This costs $40 a month. There's two options actually, $40 a month or a certain fee per unit. When I signed up and up until a year ago, I don't know if it's still this way, but it was $1 per unit or $40 a month. And if you're selling over 40 units a month, it doesn't make sense to do the units one. So always pay the monthly $40. This is going to need your company information, your identification information, checking account, credit card, all of the stuff that we talked about before this goes into setting this up. You can always change that information. So if for whatever reason you just want to get this started, you can use all your personal information and go and set it up, but it is going to delay some things. They're going to send you a verification code in the mail that you have to put in, and so you just don't really want to have to do that twice. But this is probably the easiest part of everything else that we talked about, is setting up the account. It's just doing all of the work beforehand, so that way you don't start paying $40 a month and then maybe it takes a while to get your company set up. Maybe it takes a while to get your EIN number or the business cards or the checking account. I mean, that would delay this and kind of waste part of your first month subscription, and you don't want to waste your money like that. After we have this set up, we're going to need some softwares to be able to source the products, send the products in, and do the pricing on the products for us. SellerAmp is going to be how we calculate our profit, our ROI, see other sellers' prices, and more of the product analytics on the pricing side. This is going to be $20 a month or $30 a month, depending on what you need it for. The only real difference here is the amount of installs that you get. As a beginner, you're only going to need one of each. unless you hire a VA right out the gate, but I don't recommend doing that. This is going to be the biggest part here, the 1,000 lookups per month. So if you do 30 a day, then you're going to need more than that. 33 a day, you're going to need more than that. So this is going to be unlimited lookups per month at $10 more. That is what I would recommend doing. After you do this for a while and you get in the hang of things and you make it a serious thing that you're going to keep doing, switch to the annual because you're going to save money, but don't buy an annual pack right off the bat if you don't know that you're going to keep doing this forever, or at least for a year. The next one that's more product analytics is going to be the price charts to see the history of the price, see if it was stable, see how the competition has been going in and out. That's going to be Keepa. This is also $20 a month, but it is charged in a European currency, so you're going to get a little bit more than that, and possibly a foreign transaction fee depending on your card, which is going to be small, under $1, but just something to keep in mind in case you have a card that waives those foreign transaction fees for you. But this is going to be the second most important software for product sourcing besides SellerAmp. They both do also have Chrome extensions, so you're going to need to install the Chrome extension. Right here for Keepa, it's right here. SellerAmp, it's on one of the pages, or you can just Google it, SellerAmp Chrome extension. You're going to need to install both of those in order for these extensions to show up when we're looking at products. If you don't have those installed, it's not going to be showing up, and it's basically pointless at that point. So need these two things for sure to analyze the products. When we're talking about sending products in and keeping track of our accounting and everything like that, when you're a beginner, for the accounting side, this is going to be the software that we use. For shipments, it's for everybody. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner. Boxem. This is a software that was created by one of my friends, Miles, and it's been around for over a year and a half now, or just about a year and a half now, and I've used other competitors to do these kind of jobs here. And this seems to be the cleanest, the best software that is out there in the market for this purpose, and they keep adding new things as it goes on to help everybody out. So this is going to be my recommendation for accounting and for shipping products into the warehouses. And we can see here all of the different layouts and everything. Pricing is going to be very competitive with the competitors. You're going to probably want to go for the professional right here, because you do get a little bit extra stuff. The 2D barcodes are really helpful for checking products in for the Amazon warehouse workers, and you get access to the new stuff that they put out and they added in. On the regular plan, you do get everything that you would need except for these three things here, the most important parts being the 2D barcodes and the early access. 2D barcodes are going to speed up your check-in processes, so it's not completely necessary for beginners if you don't mind waiting a little bit longer, but it does help because it lists the products on the barcodes, and when the workers scan it, they can see a lot easier what's supposed to be in there, so it just speeds up their process there. But you can get away with just using these features here, the analytics and profit, inventory management, shipments, and then integrations with the repricers, which again, all comes in this one also. You don't lose any of that stuff, it just gives you extra stuff. But talking about the repricers, BQool is the recommendation that I would give to all beginners that are starting out, just because it is the most affordable. It does do its job, but after you scale and you start doing a lot more volume, you're probably going to want to check out some of the other ones that come at a higher price that I'm not going to mention in this video, just because this has worked for me when I was a beginner and used it for over 2 years. So it does definitely work and do its job. We're going to need to scale up on the pricing thing here though. So we're not going to go for the 25 just because a couple reasons. So we're going to lose out on a lot of features here, as we can see, like all of this conditional repricing is gone. And then above here, it was the match buy box rules that you can't see the beginning of it because I'm covering it. But you also only get 1,000 listings here, rule-based plus AI. I use the $100 plan here. You can analyze these different features as you go into it. Try a free trial, see what you do need, see what you don't need, and then you can always change your subscriptions as time goes on and adjust based on that. But depending on everybody's specific situation, I can't really say which one everybody should use, but I do use the premium one here. You do get a free trial, so you can try them out. After we have all of that stuff done, softwares, everything, we're going to need to buy products. And before we get into how to source them, we're going to need a way to purchase them, because you can source all the products that you want, but if you don't have a way to buy them, you're wasting your time. So I have a list here of all of the credit cards that I have used and know about that I think I split pretty well into what should be beginner and experienced levels for a couple reasons, and we'll go into that. So the first beginner ones, we have two of basically the same card. The only difference is one is cash back, one says plus, that means points. These are going to be 0% interest for 12 months. They are going to give you a limit. Depending on your personal credit score, it may give you a smaller limit compared to other people. It does not pull your personal credit score as a hard inquiry, so it's not going to show up on your report and make your score go down lower. And that goes for every single American Express card that's a business card. They do soft pulls on everybody's credit scores, so you don't ever have to worry about applying for one, not getting it, have it damage your credit score personally. And also, none of these cards will report to your business or to your personal credit score. As long as they're business cards, you have an EIN number, it won't report to your personal credit score, which is also a really good benefit. So these are, again, the same card. Both have limits, maybe small, maybe bigger, depending on your personal credit score. You don't need a business credit score to open these up. I didn't have one, and I got these. I also got these two down here without a business credit score. So you don't really, and this one down here, so you don't need to worry about business credit score. It may be something to know in the future, depending on other things that you go into, loans and all that kind of stuff, but you don't really need it. I've never run into needing a business credit score. There is a way that you can look it up through Dun & Bradstreet if you want to know what it is, but it's not necessary. The Chase Inc. Business Unlimited, also 0% interest for 12 months. This is a really good card also. It is going to give you a limit just like these two, but it is a very good beginner card to have. And all three of these cards do open up their limits very quickly. If you just max out the card and wait for the statement to close, pay it off, do that for 2 to 3 months, request a credit limit increase, they will most likely open it up for you more. They just want to see that you have good payment history. So even if you get stuck with $5,000, $2,000 limit, it's not the end of the world. It will open up as you use it. You may be limited for a little bit longer, but if that's the case and you open this one up and you get a $2,000 limit, go ahead and open this one up too. And then you have two cards with $2,000 limits. Or maybe you get a little bit more on this one and you can use them both at the same time and put purchases on both of them that you've just opened up your credit score or your credit limit a lot quicker. The American Express Plum, the only difference with this is you get 60-day payments. It is technically a charge card, just like the ones down here that I'm going to get into. So you may or may not have a limit depending on payment history. You may get capped at certain points, but the good thing about this card for beginners is that on all of these ones, if they did have interest, then you're going to have usually 30 days or in between 20 and 30 days after your statement closes to pay it off without incurring interest. This one gives you 60 days. So from the date of your statement close, all of your payments are due 60 days after. So you basically doubled the time that you have to sell the products through, not have to front any money, any of that kind of stuff. But the only difference with this card is the rewards, you only get them if you pay it off within 40 days. So if you take the full 60, you're not going to get anything back from this card. So that's the only downside to that, if you even want to call it a downside. The experienced cards are going to be the Business Gold, the Business Platinum from American Express, because they are charge cards. This one has 0% for 6 months, but it's not a full year, so it's not as good. And this one does not have a 0% promotion going on. But when I opened this up when I first started, this was my first card, and they had a 12-month 0% interest promotion. So you can check it periodically and see if they do have that. The reason why these go into the experience, besides them being a charge card without the 60-day payments, is because their annual fees are a lot more. These three do not have them. This one is a $250 annual fee. Business Gold is $375. Platinum is $695. So it's a lot higher. That's the reason why they're inexperienced, because you don't want to throw over $1,200 into these two cards when you're first starting out. Capital One, 2% cash back is a charge card, $150 annual fee. Works the same way as this. You can charge as much as you want, depending on your payment history. You might get capped the first couple of months, but eventually it'll open up a lot. And within the first couple of months of having these two cards and maxing out, paying them off, I had over $100,000 in business credit available on these two cards that I could spend. This one's a really good card too, 2% cash back, like I was saying, $150 annual fee, but charge card, why it's more experience, because you have to pay it off in full, or you're going to get charged a lot in interest, depending on how much you put it on there. Chase Inc. Business Premier. This is either $125 or $150 annual fee. They do give you bigger credit limits, but there is no 0% promotion, and it's not a charge card. So you're going to get a limit, and you're going to pay interest. That's why it's at the bottom of this list, because all the other ones do have better options, but this is a really good card to have if you have the money and cash flow to be able to pay it off in full every single month. So now that we have all of the setup done and you've gone from zero to having all your stuff ready in order to start looking for products and selling the products, we're going to come over to Amazon.com here. And when we're starting out, we're not going to have any realistic idea of where to start looking for products. As you go on, you'll save storefronts that you think are good to go back through and know kind of how to look for those things and go through products that you already have been selling. But since we're brand new, we're just going to come over to the search bar up here. And what I typically like to do is start looking through big brands, whether it's Adidas, Puma, New Balance, Nike, Gap, Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger. You can choose any of those brands and then find people that sell products in there to look for other products for you to sell. I typically always like to start with Nike just because it's one of the biggest brands in the world, for one. And now that Amazon has restricted it for a lot of people, you know that it's going to be seasoned, experienced sellers that usually are pretty big and have been doing it for a long time, that they're going to have a lot of good products to sell inside of their catalogs. Even though you can't sell Nike products, it doesn't mean you can't start your search for other products looking at Nike products. So we can see here, we've got what looks different than what your Amazon page would normally look like if you ever shopped on Amazon. We've got this box down here, which is a feature of SellerAmp that is pretty recent. And it shows us here 2 boxes. FBA 9+ means that there are 9 other sellers on this listing that are selling through the Amazon warehouses like you're going to do. FBM stands for Fulfilled by Merchant. There's 2 of them, which means that they have listed these products and they're sitting either at a warehouse this guy owns, a prep center that didn't send it into the warehouse, or it could even be somebody selling out of their own house. FBA also stands for Fulfilled by Amazon. And this is going to be one of the most important things that you're going to be looking at in the beginning. It also totals it up for you here to say 11+ on the listing. This is what's called an ASIN. This is Amazon's identification number for all products. They're all different. None of them would ever be the same. Then it tells us here that there's 2 different variants, which just stands for either different sizes or different colors. Under here, not important to pay attention to. This is just a review from a customer. This also is not important to look at in the beginning because this is the dimensions of this product and how much it weighs. So we're going to look for, this might actually be a good starting point. So we can also see here that comes on Amazon's page normally, 400+ bought in the past month. And then we can see on this one, 50+ bought in the past month. This one's a sponsored product, so that doesn't have anything there. But as we go through this list, we'll start to see different ones, 20K. This one doesn't have one. So it must not be selling as fast as the other ones. It doesn't mean it's not selling at all. It just means that it's not as quick to have a label like this. 700+ bought in the past month here. So what we're doing here is going to be opening up different products just to look through. But before we do that, you might have noticed that when I hovered over this, you can see something pop up in the bottom right. That is through Keepa. And that's a setup that should normally come on the account, but if it doesn't, and if you want a full breakdown, more detailed than what we're going to get into in this video, just on either one of these softwares, SellerAmp or Keepa, I do have tutorial videos on my channel. Some of the first videos that I ever posted were on those. So go watch those if you want a full, entire, in-depth breakdown of these, because we're going to be going through this information more generally in this video. So we're going to open up this product to get some sellers from. We can also open up this one here. We want to look for, when we're doing this, is more than just like a couple sellers here. So this one has 5 and 6. The other one has 9 and 2. Those are pretty good numbers and options to choose from. This one's 1 and 2, and Amazon's on the listing. We're not going to want to open that one up because there's just not enough sellers on there. And you're not ever going to go through Amazon's catalog either. So I think those would be 2 good places to start for this video. But we'll just scroll through here and see if we can get any more. And those are not showing up that little panel because it's in the customers frequently viewed box here. And you may have also noticed that when I hovered over a sponsored product, it doesn't show up that Keepa chart. Just because they're sponsored, it doesn't do that for Keepa. It does show it for this here. But since we've got 2 products here, this is what your product page should now look like if you have the Chrome extensions installed. You'll see the SellerAmp panel here. And if you want to know how to configure all that stuff, go watch the video like I just mentioned a minute ago. Then underneath here, we've got the Keepa chart. And same thing goes for this software. So just a general explanation. This pink line that you'll see going up and down here is the buy box. That is this box here. So this 84 is the buy box price. And if we go in here, we can see when I hover over this, that little pink extension box that says $84 FBA KK Supplies is the buy box seller. At $84, if we come up here, KK Supplies, the name matches. So when you hover over this graph, we're going to see all the changes in price. And if we go slower, we'll be able to see the difference in movement there. 87 to 89, stays 89 for a while, 84. And then the bottom one here is the number of offers, going up from 36 to 40, back down to 35, and so on. So we want to see good movement in the offer counts here, because if it's flat, nobody's selling out of the product, nobody's coming in with product, not a very good selling product. That's all we want to pay attention to here, is this box down here, or that line in this box. Up here, we want to pay attention to how this graph looks. Is it consistent? Which in this case, not very consistent. Price dropped very far down here, $10, 94 to 84. So this to me is not a great sign, but it has steadied out here. So that's a better sign. Not great still, but it's better than the worst. And then the only other thing that we're really paying attention to here is this green line, which is the sales rank, which is how popular is the product among other products in this same category. And the only thing that we're really looking for here is if it's like a seasonal product, you'll see it get really low because it's getting more popular over a certain period of time, and then rising up to really high and staying that way when it's out of its season. Here, it's just fluctuating. So it's not a bad sign in this product. The only other thing that we really want to pay attention to here is the number of other offers that are coming in also correlates to this graph here. So we'll see these orange triangles. You'll see them up here. Those are the new third-party FBA. So everybody that's selling at FBA through the warehouse outside of the buy box, because the buy box could be an FBA seller like we see here, the orange FBA underneath the price in the pink box. Since he's at 91 or whatever it was, 89, and this guy came in, he didn't get the buy box, he came in at 94, it shows there. Sometimes there will be a discrepancy between these orange triangles in the buy box, which is okay. It's not a bad sign. Now that we know how to read the Keepa charts, we'll go into SellerAmp here. The BSR, sales rank that I was talking about, correlates to right here. Estimated sales per month that we saw on the Amazon page, 400 plus, correlates to right here. Doesn't always show on the Amazon page though. It may be different, which is fine. We'll go off of this estimated sales in SellerAmp here. Now we've got our cost price and our sale price with all the numbers down here. If I throw in a sale price or a cost price, it'll change. And then we've got a lot of information here that we don't really need to pay attention to right now. If you want a full breakdown of all of this other information, it's in the other video. So what we're looking for other seller storefronts is here, the offers part. When I hover over these, we'll see that the store names show up here. And what we really want to look for is just like over 25 to 30 reviews, which is the stars in there. The number 251 there is the number of reviews that he's got. So over 25 to 30 means that they've been pretty big seller, because you got to do a lot of orders to get reviews. It's pretty hard to get reviews on Amazon. So we'll open this up. I don't typically worry about opening up merchant fulfilled because prices are different. like shipping costs for them is potentially cheaper than for FBA people. So they may be able to go a little bit lower on cost prices than we would. So I don't really want to waste my time looking through that. This guy doesn't really have a great rating, 3.5 stars. I'm going to skip over that one. This one's 3 stars, skip over that. This would be another good option to look through. This one would also be a good option. So now that we've got a couple, we can go through them. And when we open this up, we've got the seller's details over here. We've got the brands that they sell, the top brands. And then we've got the top categories. This might not be a great example. This is a better example. So we've got a big list of brands here, or a bigger list, and then we've got more options in here. So we're going to filter through depending on if you want to sell certain brands or you can't sell certain brands because you may have to get ungated for those. Also have a video on how to get ungated. So if you want to understand that, go check that video out too. And then what we're going to do is normally just scroll through this whole list here. But if you want to see how it works, you just click on Adidas. You can see it filtered out all the other products except for Adidas products. If we do Crocs, it will filter out everything besides Crocs. If we want all shoes, clothing, jewelry, then we'll click on that and we'll get a mix of the brands, Crocs, Adidas, Nikes in there. And then sports and outdoors is going to be a smaller list. For some reason, these are mislabeled in SellerAmp. So it is still all clothing, shoes, and jewelry in there. But we can see here that we've got more than that. So books, clicked on, we got books, grocery, and we get food, candy, all those kind of things. And then so on and so forth. Electronics, we've got electronics here. So this store is not great for what we're looking for. So we're going to close out of this one, and then we'll close out of this one too. And as you go through it and get the feel for everything, you'll start to understand what you want in a storefront, and you'll be able to kind of knock those people out when you open them also. So this is where we're going to have our criteria, and depending on your preferences, you'll have your own. But what I recommend for beginners, BSR always under 150,000. Target under 125, but you can get away with 150. Estimated sales doesn't really matter too much. May want it to be around like 50 plus, but that's up to you. Offers, if you have a maximum number of competition that you want, that would go into this total number. But for beginners, really, definitely don't want Amazon in the listing. Probably want under like 30, 25. 30 to 25 would be kind of a sweet spot. Buy box price doesn't matter. Store stock doesn't matter. So we're going to scroll through these and get our products opened up, and excluding that one because Amazon, excluding this one because the BSR is unknown, and Amazon. So we've got one right here that we can go ahead and open up. So what we can do is 2 things here. We can either click on this page here, we can see the SellerAmp panel, or since we want to see the Keepa chart too, we'll click on this Amazon logo right here. It'll bring us to the Amazon page. Then when we come back here, we'll see this G button, which is Google button. Click on that, and it's going to open up the Google search for this title right in here, which should always match this one. These 2 titles, though, sometimes don't match. This one here and this one in here don't always match, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. If for whatever reason this was a really general title in here that said Adidas men's sweatpants, then just copy this title, go to Google, search it. You'll get the same results as pulling this up here. So then what I do, everybody's different. Some people go through the shopping page. Some people go through these results down here. I typically just like to go through this list here until I hit the back, because with this list here, it's got the most relevant results most of the time. And also you can scan their prices here and just see, okay, what was our minimum price, which is right here, $10.45, based on my set criteria, 25% ROI and $4 to $5 profit. It gives me this number here, because we'll see here, $4 profit. If it goes below that, what I have set in my settings, or my price is higher, it turns red. So we need it to be at least here to get our criteria met. So 10.45, this is too high. 33, 17 is too high. This is Nike, but that's close. And I'll just scan through the prices. If anything's around $10, then I'll open it up, or not open it up first, but check to see is it the right product, then open it up. So like this was close, but pictures of shorts, 3/4 length there. And then we'll go through this list and see if anything in here is around that price, which it's not. From what I'm doing, just scanning the green prices, the black prices in this box here. So at this point, since I've hit the end of the list, nothing was profitable, I would close this out and move on to the next product. Then we hit the end of this list because we are in the sports and outdoors there. I didn't change the filter. So we'll run through this now. That's the same product that we looked at. we've got one that meets our criteria here. So we'll go ahead and open this up. Something else that you're going to want to be doing is looking at the Keepa chart. See, is it stable? This is relatively stable. And is the offer count moving? This is moving. So this would be a decent product to go look for. Because you don't want to go in, do all the product research like I just did, then find a profitable product, and then realize the Keepa chart sucks. And you don't want to sell it. It would just be a huge waste of your time. So just always go through it like that. And we've got the men's TR23 sneaker. That's youth. That's a good price though. We've got not much going on here. Our max cost was 26. That's women's. So not looking like we're going to find this product here in this list. And for the example here, we'll just run through and see. That's on sale at 56. That's not going to be good unless they have maybe like a 30% off, but we'd still need 50%. So not great there. That's 48. If they have a coupon, that would be better. Nope. But what we can do here is see, okay, so I clicked on that one. It went down to 32. So what we're going to do here is go into the variations tab, because this is going to show us a list of all of these colors in here with every single size for each color that's available. And once this loads, we can either sort by a couple things in here. I'm going to sort by color because I want to find the correct color first. So that way everything is just grouped together. This is going to be that color right there, carbon. Yep. So now what we're going to do is look at these charts in here, because this is just a smaller version of the other ones. See if anything looks like it's selling. This one looks like it's selling. It's become consistent. We'll open that up. This one going in and out a little bit, but price did dip off a lot there, so I wouldn't worry about that one. This had a very bad price tank. Not too certain on that. Would probably want to watch that one for a bit. And then we've got some more of that same color, just with different photos. And this doesn't look great here. This one did sell out. All these charts not looking great, and then we got into a different color. So this would be our best bet here, and it looks like at some point over the last couple years I did look at this product, but it must not have been profitable when I found that price. So this is not looking great, but it was sold out for a while. Not a while, but it's got points in here where it was sold out. And the reason why the buy box disappears when it's in stock is because the price is too high, or a couple other reasons. So once this price got brought back down to normal, it did reappear. So what we can do here, we'll see 9.5 here, or we can hover over this title. Most of the times it will have a size in there, 9.5. And we will go back here and see 9.5. There is only one left in stock though. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but this was at 32. Just right off the bat, 32, we've got $27 profit there. At 78, what I like to do though is check the bottom prices just in case it drops back down. So like 57 would probably be a good price to check, just to see, are we still good at that range? And we are. We'll run 57, 85, and we still do have profitable product here. Now what we can also do, which I recommend doing on every single order, is going to be to come in here, CardBear, and we're going to search for Adidas. I can't type for some reason. We're going to search up Adidas here, and we're going to see that we've got a lot of gift cards that are discounted. So I always open up a couple of them, just because if you see a really high percentage sometimes, it might be like a $5, $10 gift card, but like, for example, that 17.5, this is a perfect example. That 17.5 that we saw that the website didn't update yet was for a $5 gift card. You're not going to get 100 of these if you place a $500 order. So we've got 10, 11. 11% would be the most realistic probably, or the 10 here because it's bigger. Then in here, we've got 14% at 50, 14.5 for a couple of them. And then in here, we got lower percentage. So we're going to go with an average of, let's just say, 14.5%, because we may go higher, we may go lower, depending on what we end up getting. So we're going to do in here, times this by 85.5%, because that's going to give us our discounted price with the 14.5% off there. This will be our price excluding sales tax, prep costs, depending on if you have either of those. So what we could do is just average it out and say, like, we'll just add $1, just because if your prep costs, it might be $1.25, sales tax might be 75% or 75 cents. So we'll just do $1. if you have that. And these are our final numbers at the lowest price, not at what it's selling for now, which is $78. So we have really good room to move, $20 worth of room, even more than that, to where we can drop the price if price does tank. So that is something that you always want to account for, is how much room do I have to move? Not planning on doing it, but just in case it does drop. Because at any point, somebody can drop their price lower than yours or cut the price in half, and then there's no telling on whether or not it's going to stay down there or come back up. Usually it does come back up once they sell out, but you don't always want to hold stuff for that long. And if you do have credit cards they have to pay off every month, you might need a quicker turnaround on your cash flow, so you might have to dump products quicker at lower prices. Just depends on your own situation. So what I do is just go in and just run all these numbers down to see how much room do I actually have to move, which is going to probably be 51. 51 is very close to 25% if that's your minimum. And we'll get over there by 10 cents. So we have until $51 to move to where we're still making our minimum. Doesn't mean break even. We could go all the way down to 42 to break even, but you don't want to not use your credit. Like, you want to put your credit to good use. You don't want to break even on every product. You want to make something, and having a minimum is a good way to make sure that you can predict what you're going to make. So coming in here and we click on this, we're going to throw that normal price, or the price it is now, up here, and we're going to see our actual numbers at this cost. 108% return on investment, $30 profit on every single unit that we have. Only one's available. But if you get these kind of products with more units available, that would be more realistic. So this is going to be the exact process that you follow for every single product in a storefront that meets your criteria. Just run through all these products and then figure out which ones are profitable by doing that process, going to the supplier, going to Google, finding the supplier, checking other sizes. You can even check the other ones, since they're all 32. Then once you find that your product's available, check this site, see if you can get the price down. You can do that before or after, just to know what your actual cost would be. So that way you don't exclude a product before finding out the gift cards, because the gift cards might make it profitable. Then bring it back here, find out your profit numbers, and then repeat the process. And that's all that you have to do in order to make a successful Amazon business. If you guys have any questions about any of the stuff that we went over in this video, definitely leave a comment down below. Also, check out these two videos right here for a longer tutorial on the two softwares that we use to source products during this video. There's also other videos on my channel for the ungating, for live sourcing, in a lot longer form, since we didn't go over everything in that much detail in this video. If you want my help starting or growing your Amazon business, check out the link in the description. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.